Imagine your computer network is like a medieval castle. It has high walls, it has strong gates, it has guards to keep intruders out. In the digital world, our networks need the same kind of protection. Cybersecurity defends our digital castles. Computers. Cybersecurity defends our digital castles. Servers. Cybersecurity defends our digital castles, all the data they hold. These attackers, often called hackers, are constantly looking for weaknesses to exploit. To do this, we can use a helpful map called the Open Systems Interconnection, or OSI model. Think of it as a 7-story building. Each floor has a job. The journey starts at the top floor, layer 7, on the sender's computer. It moves down to the bottom floor, layer 1. It travels across the physical network. Then it goes back up the 7 floors on the receiver's computer. Each layer adds its own piece of information to the data, like putting a letter inside an envelope. A network can be attacked at any of the 7 OSI layers. From an attacker physically cutting a cable at layer 1 to someone tricking a user with a phishing email at layer 7, no part of the network is inherently safe. The first layer, the physical layer or layer 1, is the foundation of our network. It deals with the actual physical hardware that connects everything. One common attack is simple cable tampering or destruction. Another sneaky attack is wiretapping eavesdropping. An attacker physically attaches a device to a network cable to listen in, like a spy bug on a phone line, letting them capture passwords, financial details without anyone knowing. Next up is the data link layer, or layer 2. This layer is like the local mail sorter in your neighborhood post office. It takes the raw bits from the physical layer and organizes them into frames. Every device has a unique physical MAC address, and this layer uses those addresses to deliver frames. A common attack is MAC spoofing. An attacker changes their MAC address to impersonate a trusted device. That lets them intercept traffic meant for the real device. Another attack is ARP poisoning, ARP spoofing. By sending fake ARP messages, attackers can reroute traffic to themselves first, allowing them to spy on or modify data before forwarding it. Moving up to layer 3, we find the network layer. It's the network's traffic director or GPS system. While layer 2 handles local delivery, layer 3 routes packets across networks, from your home network to a remote server halfway across the world. Routers operate here, deciding where to send each packet next. One classic example is IP spoofing. An attacker forges the source IP in a packet header. Another attack is router compromise. If an attacker controls a router, they can redirect, block, or monitor all passing traffic. It's like a hijacker seizing a highway interchange, causing chaos and stealing data from every car. The network layer is a prime target for attacks that disrupt traffic. Understanding threats at each layer is essential to protect digital information. This essay will take you on a tour of the 7-story building from basement to penthouse, exploring each OSI layer one by one. We now arrive at the transport layer, or layer 4, the heart of host-to-host communication. This layer acts as the quality control manager for our data's journey. It takes large chunks of data from the upper layers and breaks them into smaller, more manageable segments. The two most famous protocols here are TCP, Transmission Control Protocol. TCP is like a registered letter. It guarantees delivery and checks for errors. UDP, User Datagram Protocol. UDP is like a postcard, faster but no delivery guarantee. A very common attack is the TCP SYN flood. The attacker sends huge numbers of SYN packets and never completes the handshake. The server waits and its resources are exhausted. Another attack is port scanning. Tools probe a server's ports to find open services, like a burglar walking around checking doors and windows for an unlocked one. Primary defense, firewalls. Firewalls block traffic from suspicious IPs or deny access to ports. Another key defense, intrusion detection systems. Intrusion prevention systems can automatically block detected attacks. Next, we ascend to the session layer, or layer 5. The session layer is the conversation manager. Think of it like a telephone operator connecting and disconnecting calls. It creates, manages, and terminates sessions between applications. It keeps communication between your browser and a web server stable and organized. Session hijacking steals a user's session ID to take over their session. Example, hijacking an online banking session to transfer money. Another attack is a DOS targeting session handling resources. Repeatedly initiating and improperly tearing down sessions exhausts the server. Defense, filtering and monitoring traffic. Firewalls can be set to recognize SYN floods and block malicious requests. As we move up the OSI stack, attacks become more sophisticated and target the data and applications users interact with directly. The upper layers present unique challenges that require specialized defenses. Alright, so the presentation layer, which is layer 6, acts like the universal translator of the network. Its main job is to make sure that data sent from one system can actually be understood by the receiving system. It's also responsible for two other really important things: data encryption, data compression. One major threat here is an SSL or TLS downgrade attack. In a downgrade attack, an attacker forces the two parties to use an older, weaker version of the protocol, which is much easier to crack. Another attack is a decryption attack. If an attacker gets the private encryption keys from a server, they can decrypt all the supposedly secure communication passing through, exposing sensitive information like credit card numbers or login credentials. And now, we've finally made it to the top floor. The application layer, layer 7. This is the layer we, as users, actually interact with directly. It provides the interface for our applications, like web browsers, email clients, online gaming platforms. When you send an email or load a web page, you're using protocols at the application layer such as SMTP for email and HTTP for the web. Because this layer is so close to the user and their data, it's a hotbed for cyber attacks. Two of the most common are phishing and SQL injection. Phishing is tricking a user into giving up their credentials through a fake email or a website that looks totally legit. SQL injection targets the database behind a website by inserting malicious SQL into a web form. If it works, it can trick the database into revealing all its contents. Other frequent attacks include cross-site scripting or XSS, where an attacker injects malicious scripts into a website that then run in the browsers of other users. So after touring all 7 OSI layers, there's a really important lesson to take away. Every single layer is a potential battlefield. From an attacker physically cutting a cable at layer 1 to someone tricking a user with a phishing email at layer 7, no part of the network is inherently safe. Each layer has its own unique vulnerabilities that need specific targeted defenses. Relying on just one security measure is like locking your front door but leaving all the windows and the back door wide open. A thief is just going to walk around and find the easiest way in. This is exactly why a defense-in-depth or layered security strategy isn't just a best practice, it's an absolute necessity. The goal is to build multiple layers of protection so that if one defense fails, another is there to stop the attack. For example, at the lower layers, you might have physical security like locked server rooms at layer 1, and network segmentation to isolate critical systems at layer 2. As you move up, a firewall and an intrusion prevention system, or IPS, are essential for filtering malicious traffic at the network and transport layers. These tools act as digital gatekeepers, inspecting traffic and blocking known threats. And as we get closer to the user and the data, the defenses become even more specialized. For web applications, a web application firewall, or WAF, is crucial. A WAF sits in front of a web server, and is specifically designed to identify and block attacks like SQL injection, cross-site scripting that target the application layer, layer 7. On top of that, protecting user accounts requires more than just a password. Multi-factor authentication, or MFA, adds a vital extra layer, by requiring users to provide a second piece of evidence, like a code from their phone, to prove who they are. This makes it much harder for an attacker to take over an account, even if they manage to steal the password. Ultimately, a strong security posture is a combination of technology, processes, and people. But they have to be supported by good processes, like regular software updates, security audits, and solid incident response plans. And honestly, the most important part is people. A layered defense creates a resilient system, where an attacker has to successfully bypass multiple, independent security controls to reach their goal, making their job way harder and increasing the chances that they'll get caught. The whole concept of layered security has really evolved into a modern, powerful philosophy called the Zero Trust Security Model. And, the name really says it all. The core principle is to never trust, always verify. In the old days, it was common to trust anyone or anything already inside the network perimeter. But the Zero Trust model throws that idea out the window. It assumes that threats can come from anywhere, outside the network, inside the network. It treats every request for access as if it came from an untrusted source. In a zero-trust environment, no user, no device is automatically trusted. Before anyone is allowed to access any resource, whether it's a file, an application, a database, they have to prove who they are. Plus, even after a user is authenticated, they're only given the minimum level of access they need to do their job. This is known as the principle of least privilege. So, even if an attacker compromises a user's account, the damage is limited because that account only has access to a small slice of the network. For everyone, IT professionals, everyday users, adopting a zero-trust mindset is the best way to stay safe. As an individual, use its principles in your daily digital life. Be skeptical of unsolicited emails, unsolicited messages. Never trust them by default. Always verify links before you click them. Use strong, unique passwords for all your accounts. Enable multi-factor authentication wherever you can. Remember, a little bit of healthy paranoia is your greatest asset.